I'm going to ask you a left of field question. So how has the counselor been keeping herself, strong at this time? And that's an important question, because there are people here who are parents, young parents, who are having to take care of other people and try to ensure that those people are fine. And so I'm wondering so they are doing that in a smaller unit than you are. You're doing this like across conversations. How are you taking care of yourself so you have the capacity to take care of everything?
So I think that I've been taking breaks. That's it, the honest truth. Before the pandemic started and after working my practice for a period of time, I realized how important it is for me to take breaks. So even when I was working before the pandemic, I had already started this system at the beginning of the year where every month I have a whole week where I do not have therapy sessions. I just ended that month for that week for April. So I know there's a break coming, time when I don't have to do any work, I don't have to help anybody. I focus on myself. I literally just lay down on the bed, I sleep, I watch movies, I have conversations with my friends in a group chat, I take strolls, I connect back to working out, because the thing is, when you're working, it can make your calendar and your time can get very shaky. Like you plan to work from this time to this time, and then it ends up extending beyond that. And therapy is a lot of mental work. Like this pace at which your mind has to be moving to be able to catch everything your client is saying to you, to be able to put everything together and come up with like a helpful tip. It's like you have to be one step ahead of your client. So when you're doing that for like 6 hours in a day, back to back to back, at least with like 15 minutes breaks in between, it gets exhausting. So usually after therapy sessions, I have a very bad headache. So I sit down for about an hour, 2 hours. I don't exert myself. I don't pick up any phone calls after 5 o'clock. If you want to talk to me, you text me. My boundaries are like very, very tight, very tight. I try as much as possible to create that time, take breaks for myself. Yeah.
Fantastic. I know that one of my favorite books is Rising Strong by Brené Brown, and she's talking to mothers. Yeah. She says the only way that you can teach children, like, so one of the things about living wholehearted lives is to set boundaries. Now, if you're a father or a mother raising children, the only way you can teach them about setting boundaries is if you set boundaries yourself.
Yes.
I mean, the best way. So if they see you setting boundaries, even with regard to taking care of them, then they learn that boundaries matter. I know you're not supposed to be in this panel, Ngozi, but I'm going to ask you this question because it concerns you. But I'm going to ask Amanda first and then come to you.
Okay.
So part of it is, do you think, and this is another left of field question, is it too soon to start talking about preparing for a post-COVID world? Is there a sense in which it's too soon? Is there a sense in which, I mean, again, to answer the question, I don't think so. But is there a sense in which, I'm welcoming disagreement and all of that, there's a sense to which it's like, look, guys, we're trying to get through this. Let's get through this first before we start talking about preparing for life. Also, we don't even know when post-COVID is going to be. Is it going to be next month? Is it going to be in 11 months? So is there a sense, and how would you tackle such a question? I'll take you first, Amanda, and I'll take Ngozi on that.
Okay, so for me, I think that post-COVID is not anything we should be looking at now. That right now, what we should be focusing on is COVID world, because that is our present reality. And if there are any steps we need to take forward, it is to figuring out how can we adapt. How can we, in our different countries, with our different styles of government, with our different economic powers, adapt to this situation so that we can sustain the economy in a way that those who are the lower class do not have to suffer so badly and terribly because there is not enough money flow. If you can't go to the market, you can't eat. So how can we create a structure for people to survive in this time? How can we organize lines in front of the markets? What do we do? Do we now have to now put restrictions on the time people are going out during the day? How many people are in a bus? How many people are at the taxi park? So how can we build a life in this system? So I don't think there is a post-COVID. I think there is a COVID time and adapting to COVID time. That's it.
Yeah. It's just, I'm going to come to you, Ngozi, but just I'm rereading for this. We're rereading for the first time Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. And it's essentially what you're saying, which is like, no, the way to prepare for the future is to be fully present now.
Yeah.
And just being full. I love that. It's like, look, how do you prepare for a post-COVID world? Well, be present in the COVID world and take the actions we need to take to improve.
Yes.
Yes, Ngozi.
I think that, interestingly enough, like in all the chaos that is happening, I feel like there's also like this forced stillness, right? Like everything's so crazy in the world, but like we're all at the same time being forced to be very still because many people are on lockdown. And a little bit of what like Amanda said, like taking this moment and like reflection. And I think that's a lot of what I'm doing. And I think what is very important as like just Africans in general to be very reflective, because I think so many things are becoming apparent, whether it's lack of infrastructure in our healthcare system, the fact that we're way too reliant on the West to help us in times of crisis. So I feel like this moment where we're forced to be still and like reckon with what the world has brought to our doorstep, I think now it's like forcing us to be like, okay, like now what do we want to do? Like, how do we want to live now? Because that's going to inform, like, I was talking to a friend who's in Ghana yesterday, and he was like, right now, like there was no hand sanitizer in Ghana and nobody could get it from anywhere else in the world. So now we're making ethanol with cassava. And he was like, now we have our own hand sanitizer industry in Ghana and we never had it before. You know what I mean? So like focusing on the now, because it's going to create solutions for the future. So now you've created something. You no longer have to rely on the West to get the product, and you now have it in market. So yeah.
Right, that's powerful actually. That's powerful, because I was seeing somebody tweeting about that today and saying there was, I think the Nigerian government announced something yesterday that basically ensured that something that we had agreed to do in 2012, we are now approving for it to be implemented now, because literally we have no choice. Okay, quickly before I go specifically to the issue of mental health, Amanda, someone just said something in the comments I thought was powerful. I know we're not taking questions yet, but someone said something like, I can't think of any period in human history when people were really certain what to do, had no surprises and unexpected development. What is novel is not certainty. What is novel is a realization that uncertainty is here to stay. Yeah. And again, one of my
you know what's so interesting?
Yeah, tell me, please.
Yeah, okay, you go ahead. Okay, fine. So I'm reading this book. I'm reading this book called Figuring. It's actually right next to me. This is it. Okay. It's by Maria Popova. She's my favorite writer. And I was reading this page a couple of days ago. And let me just read out the line to you. It says, the human mind seems willing to wrap itself and its prosthetic of language around the notion of pure impartial probability, which means that the things that are happening to us is not personal. It's not like uncertainty is a consistent part of human race. We have refused to like accept that reality because we're constantly chasing certainty. We want something to be sure. But time and time again, history has told us that life is like this. It just happens. And the reason why it happens is because it can happen. And for that reason, it happens. It doesn't have to do with you. It's not because of you. It's not about you. It's just what happens in life. So it's like we haven't accepted that. And because of that, whenever things happen and they're so surprising, we're all running helter-skelter, we're taking it personal. It now becomes such a subjective experience that it hinders the possibility and our ability to think beyond it and just realize that, because that's why all these conspiracies and theories now start to fly around. It's because of this reason. It's because of that reason. Because people are trying to show you that it's personal. Someone has decided to put, when I'm not supposed to be experiencing this, they hold me a human being. So like what? And when I think about that, I'm reminded that the one thing that we need to practice is humility, to realize that we're not that important. We are just the way we kill cockroaches and fly. That is how important we are in this life. Anything can just take the human race like that quick. And the moment we start to grasp that reality, accept it, and then learn how to live with it consciously, the better we'll be. We realize that we'll be a lot more happier, and death would not be such a terrifying anticipation, inevitable event.
Yeah. So 2 questions from that. One is, I know that I think Martin Seligman's book, Martin Seligman is one of the founders of positive psychology for the general public. So he said that one of the things that leads to unhappy, he's talking about, I think it's learned helplessness, I think is a concept. The idea of people face a situation they're not ready for, and then I need to find the light that Ngozi is using for I need to find those lights. I need to text you after this. The idea that one of the reasons why people cannot overcome adversity is because they imagine 3 things, calls them the 3 Ps. They mind that all adversity that they face is personal, is pervasive, and it's permanent. Yeah, so they think, oh, why me? Woe is me. So it's about me. Like the universe is conspiring to fight
against me.
I'm so important to the universe. It's trying to frustrate me. And then it's permanent. Like it will never end. Like this is like there's not going to be a new situation. And thirdly, that it's pervasive. Like all our lives are affected by this singular adversity. So basically, it seems like so the first thing is what you mentioned, which is that it's personal. And if we align with the nature of reality, that everything is not personal, most of it, actually, maybe all of it isn't personal, then we're able to maintain our balance. Yeah. And so the second thing is it so? Let me put it in the question. Does that mean that? So that means that you're saying. Does that mean you're saying that we should get comfortable with uncertainty? And if, as a race, we do get comfortable with uncertainty, how do we really plan, create, and have a sense of control and autonomy if we are supposed to just be comfortable with uncertainty?
Now, being comfortable with the uncertainty does not mean that you're not going to do anything about your life. That you're just like, well, never know what's going to happen tomorrow, so we might as well just be. No, it's that as much as the part of it is uncertain, another part of it is within your control. You still have some kind of agency. That's why we're able to create systems that will help us adapt. That is where the adaptability part comes in. So you're uncertain, yes, you know that there is that's what anxiety is there for, to let you know that there are things that are coming that you cannot control. So can you, with your knowing, with your knowledge, can you now create systems that would help you to adapt better? Because that's all human beings have been doing. With every stage of evolution, it has just been a step of gaining more knowledge and learning how to adapt better on this earth, which is something that nature has magnificently figured out. And I mean that if we all just turn our minds back to focusing on nature, we would learn better about how to adapt, how to freely evolve, how to grow without limitation, being aware that there are some things that you cannot control, and then there are some things that you can control. Right now, everybody wants to control everything, which is why there is that feeling. They're not letting the parts that has to do with, this is the part that fate handles. This is the part that no matter what I do, I can't change this, I cannot. That's that saying that's like, give me the wisdom to control the things that I can, and then leave the things I can't control. And I can't remember how it goes, but yes, pretty much just focus on the things that you can control. And the things that you can't control, just let them go. Like, leave them alone. Bad things will happen to bad people and good people. And good things will happen to bad people and good people. That's just the way life is. It's not checking, it's not following your judgment. It's not thinking the way you are thinking. So yes, it's like, it's that feeling of control, like relaxing. And then the country should then focus, okay, if we know, and this is why history is a very good storyteller and also very good research material. Plagues have been happening for many, like they have happened over many centuries. It's a part of human life. But the problem is that human beings are still not paying attention to how important our healthcare needs to be. Because every time a plague happens, it shows us how fragile we are as human beings. That something little and invisible can take out the human race in large numbers. Millions of people could die. I mean, millions of people, hundreds of people have died. It's not wars that would kill us in that mass. It's these medical issues that we have: healthcare, cancer, AIDS, the Spanish flu. It keeps happening all the time. So I feel like when human beings grow and acknowledge that and start to focus on healthcare, that is an example of coping with the uncertainty. We don't know when another pandemic is going to happen. Next 5 years, 10, 15, 7, 9, nobody knows. But we need to know that if this is something that happens regularly in the human race, and by regularly, I mean every 100 or 50 years, then we need to start taking steps towards beefing up our systems, our healthcare system as a universe, so that when it happens, we can all carry on together without it affecting us in such a significant way.
Mm-hmm. But I think, so I'll ask one last question of you both and then open them up to questions and answers from the audience.
Yeah.
But I want to take that question to you, I said I was going to ask earlier, Ngozi, because first, for instance, so she talked about, I was asking her, is it too soon to talk about the way forward? And I think she's answered that. But I also want you to answer it from another perspective, which is, I mean, the Africa Nxt community is a very innovation-focused community, very tech-focused community, very future-forward community. So many of them are thinking, okay, well, I had all these grand plans for this year, all these apps I was going to develop, all these communities I was going to build, all the things I was going to set up, all these brands I was going to build. And now, yeah. But then here you are, Ngozi, getting 1,000 people, 2,000 people onto an app that I've never used in my life. Within a period of 2 weeks or what, as far as we can see from here, and you don't look stressed out. Like when I said join us, you would have said, no, today I have to go sort things out at the back end. And you're like, okay, no, sure, let's have that conversation. So how are you able to, it looks to me, and that's a good thing, obviously, that there is a sense of balance and a sense of not control, but a sense of just, being able to be resilient, in the case of this thing. So practically, from a non-professional, what are the things that you've done to enable you just spring to action, so to speak?
I think it's kind of like, for me, how I look at like uncertainty, it's more like it's inspiration to me. Like, so when things are very uncertain, like my mind starts like kind of spinning, like, okay, so like, what can I do in this moment? Like, and maybe part of it, maybe I need to talk to somebody about it. Maybe part of it is me trying to control everything around me. But I think I start looking, I immediately look for solutions. So when everything was unfolding, like I was like very worried. I think everybody was very worried. Everything was so uncertain. And then I had to be like, okay, well, what can we do? Because like, we can't just like fall and say, okay, this COVID thing is going to wipe everything out. Not like, I'm going to be unsuccessful, or I'm going to, because you can succumb to this COVID thing in many ways. You can either actually contract the virus, or you can lose your job, or maybe you were about to get funding for your company and then the funding goes out the window. So we are all susceptible in many different ways. So I wanted to look at that and say, well, how do we become more resilient? And I've always, just my entire life, like community has always been my go-to. Like when I'm struggling, or when I see struggling, I always look to community. Like, so what more can we do as a community? And that is my go-to. So like in crisis, I was like, okay, well, I have a network. Everyone has a network. Like, we will be okay. We can rely on one another. So that is what this whole like Africa Next, the way forward was. I was like, how do we rely on each other? Let's start talking. Like, I don't have the answers, but if we tell people, meet here and let's talk, maybe somebody gets inspired and they're like, okay, I know what I want to do next. Or maybe you connect with somebody and you're like, okay, let's keep talking. Or maybe you just need another voice or a sounding board, like whatever that is. I am a firm believer in like community, and all answers are within us. We just have to start talking and start strategizing. So I think, that's my default, not getting like all crazy, like, oh my God, everything's going wrong, and saying, and then also I'm a firm believer, like, you are like the universe, God, like creates a scenario to make you act. Sometimes when you're unwilling to, you know what I mean? Like there's always, sometimes like there's that inertia, you're not doing anything. And like the universe, God is like, no, sit down. You need to stop everything and do this. And I think like this is our moment to be like, to do the hard things you might have been very unwilling to do, or to take a break. So that's kind of how I'm treating this moment.
That's amazing. What I like about that is how it links to, and I don't think that was deliberate, but how it links to what Amanda said, which is, and I don't know where I was reading it this week. It's about switching the question rather than what am I going to do. It's almost like you thought, and I know this sounds a bit cliche, but I'm not, obviously you thought about what am I going to do. Like we're also, and I like that you said that so fast. Like, well, okay, what am I like? This is a virus, and there's something that Amanda said that was so powerful, which is anxiety is not something that should overwhelm you. It's like a nudge. It's like a nudge. Like, these days when we talk about anxiety, the mental condition, we're not making it seem as if anxiety, all anxiety is negative. And anxiety is like, okay, guys, it's like there's a snake in your room. Yes, that's not really the time to meditate. It's really the time to calm down and think, okay, there shouldn't be a snake in my room, but calmly, what am I going to? So I'm anxious about this snake, but calmly, I hope there's no snake. There will not be any snake in my room. Calmly, what do I do? And so basically, you switch the question from, oh my God, to how can I be of service? you know, and I was reading about it, there's research that says the more you move it from a me question to an us question, the less you feel as if the world is bearing down on you in an inconceivable way. You're not beginning to think, how can I help others? How can I help us? How can I help us? That's what happens. So finally, before we go to the questions from Irene, so Amanda, if somebody asked you for the hack, what's the hack to keep my balance and to flourish in these COVID times? And through doing that, to prepare for the post-COVID times, what would you say? What would you say is a 1 step, a 3 step, whatever it is? What would you say people should do at this time practically to get to this place that we're talking about?
Cry. That's the first thing you need to do.
Okay, yes, we can
Roll
hear
up
you.
in a ball and cry because it's painful. Did you hear me?
Cry, right? Okay.
Yes, cry. Okay. That's the first thing. I feel like some people haven't cried.
I heard that.
They're like all trying to be like, I'm strong. Okay, how do we move? How do we move? How do we go? No, cry. I cried. I've cried a bunch of times, and it has helped me feel good. It feels because there's a lot of grief and pain that this has affected every single one of us. We all have to stay indoors, and human beings we're social animals. As much as we have issues that make it difficult for us to connect, we're still looking for human connection. We need it to survive. We need it to be able to stay sane. Because if we didn't need it, none of us would be here today. None of us would be trying to get on house party apps, Instagram live videos. No, we'll just all sit in our house and not talk to each other, and then we'll be fine. But we need human connection. And the fact that we're not getting that much human connection, physical contact, that you know how it's important to you when you have to now go to for your supermarket run and you just see a lot of people around you, and then you're just like, you know what, I don't know who you people are, but I'm happy you're here. I'm just happy to have this amount of people around me. So that experience of being separated from the people you share this community of earth with, it's painful. There is grief, there is sadness, it hurts. So you don't have to be. So the first thing you need to do is to allow yourself break down. When you break down and you accept that, you know, can't do anything about this, I'm just going to focus on the things I can do, then you can then start healing. I was just talking, my housemate just sent me a text or a group chat. She was taking big images of each and every one of us to just like put on her post and say, this is how I'm coping through the COVID times. And she recently put up some pictures on Instagram of herself, and she looked so happy and relaxed, and we're complimenting her about it. And she was like, the reason why is that she has come to a point where she can accept that the world is burning. You know, if it's going to burn to the ground, let it burn to the ground. That's it. I'm going to die anyway. So what's the point of trying to hold on so much to this life that's going to be anyway? So when you move from the space of breaking down, then you move into the space of accepting. Start to practice acceptance. Not what's going to happen in the future. How could I bring back the past? No, it's like, this is my reality. What is the new routine? Don't focus on when it's over, when COVID is over, when this is over. No. Today, what is my routine? What am I going to do tomorrow? People can see all these sticky notes, the papers flying with the markers behind. That's my, and every single day I try, well, every week at least, I try to change it as often just to keep a routine. You know, okay, now I can't have this. What can I use to supplement for human connection? What can I use to supplement for conversations? What other ways can I still get my healthy dose of human communication now that I can't get as much as I used to? I go for strolls. I run outside the estate side and by the main road. I go on Netflix party with my friends. I have group chats. So I try to just accept that this is my new reality. So you break down, you start to accept, you build a routine, and let your routine be flexible, because you are going to go back to crying again. So you need to allow that space to be able to zigzag, because it's not, the coping is not like, it's not upwards. No, it's like this. And some days it's really down, and then it's up high. Like yesterday, my cat ran away. It was a very depressing day for me. I was really sad the whole day, but then she came back, thankfully. Yeah, she came back. So like, there will be days.
Okay, like, I wouldn't imagine my dog leaving at this time.
Sorry?
I just like had nightmares of not seeing my dog for a day. Like
no, you don't.
That I just had like minor trauma.
So yeah, those are pretty much the steps.
Right.
Break down, allow yourself to break down, practice acceptance, and then create a routine. Be generous. Generosity is very important this time. Give to people, and then open up yourself to receive kindness. If you're the kind of person that used to say no all the time, Nah, stop trying to people please by rejecting favors. Open up yourself. Stop thinking, oh, but you don't have enough. If someone is giving you a gift, accept it. Be more accepting of the love people are giving you and accepting of the situation that you're currently in. Be generous. And I made a list. I was like, Chude is going to ask me this question. Let me just make a list of all the people I want to talk to. So like, I don't know if I have time. Just 2 minutes more. Can you give me just quickly run through it?
Yeah, I think you have a little bit of time.
Yes, no, go ahead.
Okay. So now the first thing is
so go ahead. So we're not taking the question.
Okay, so for employers, because my clients have been complaining, and I'm always saying my clients because that's where I get my evidence from. It's like, okay, this is really happening because people are coming to therapy to complain about it. The employers are not respecting their staff timing. So people now work even as late as 1 a.m., having meetings till 9 p.m., waking up at 6 a.m. So what I'd say for this time, the one tip I want to give that employers are the tips I want to give employers are respect and discipline. Respect your staff time. You didn't give them a time off when they were having to do transportation from mainland to the island and staying in Lagos traffic. Now that they're at home, they have things at home that they need to focus on. Respect their time. Have a normal work time. If 9 a.m. is when you start and 5 a.m. is when you close, let that be it. And the best way to practice this is through discipline. Discipline yourself so that you can also help your staff members maintain that same level of discipline. So respect their time and discipline yourself pretty much with respecting the time. Then for employees, there is discipline and then self-respect. There is this issue that employees here in Nigeria have where they feel like because someone has hired them, they're doing them a favor. So they find it very difficult to respect themselves in a job. So this is a good time for you to start practicing self-respect. If your boss is not going to give you those boundaries for time, you need to start insisting on it and setting those boundaries. If 5 o'clock is when you're closing, do not start answering emails. If anyone asks you, tell them that I can't receive calls after 5 because I have a family to attend to. I have other things in my life to take care of. My life is not just about work all the time. There are other things you can get that are more rewarding than the job that you're earning. Then if you are in a situation where you're being abused, you need to reach out as soon as possible to different NGOs that are willing to offer free therapy or book a therapy session. Start talking. This is the time for you to start getting help. Put it on Twitter so people can come. We're all at home now, so everyone is itching to do something. People are listening to what everyone is saying. Ask for help, vocalize it. Any chance or opportunity you get, we're all going to stand beside you and help get you out of that situation. If you need therapy, reach out to me for therapy. I offer discounts every month in my practice for people. Come get help, come get therapy, get counseling, and then set your boundaries. And if you're gonna set boundaries, honor those boundaries. Don't people please and say, just because I want them to like me, I'm going to just overdo. No. Now is the time for you to start setting boundaries and communicating clearly. Now, if you are an abuser, this is the time for you to also get therapy. You need help. Everyone is suffering, which is what causes us to act out the way that we do, angrily, violently, and more often than not, people who are abusers now have been abused before. When abusers and abused come for therapy, everyone ends up in the same point. It's all just pain. So come in for therapy. It is possible to deal with the shame, the fear, all of it, so you do not continue to bring havoc into other people's lives, so that we can all heal. Get therapy, introspect, take out time to see yourself for who you really are, not the mask that you have created. And then for everyone else, I was going to say the same thing I told Chude. Express your unhappiness, practice gratitude. If you're in a space where you have a lot more issues in your life and you have the ability to flourish, now is the time for you to start being grateful for the small things. Even just the sun shining, drawing whatever joy there is. If someone gives you good news, don't push it away and say, oh, something bad is going to happen after that. No. What you need to do is draw the good energy, enjoy it, because sadness will always come. So yeah, and then some people are saying some things about job termination. Yes, I understand that not everybody can stand up to their boss, but if you know that you have the power to, do it. If you have the power to, do it.
Right, okay, fantastic. Somebody took a question. Somebody sent me a personal question. That must be someone who reads my newsletter with Chude.com. Let me plug it. But before that, something that was brought to me to say was, it's so powerful that you talked about that you even spoke to abusers. Now, it's not often politically correct, but doctors first thing do no harm. So if you can get a person to do no harm to others by encouraging them gently to take better care of themselves, then we all as a society benefit on that. I also want to crack a joke out because we're leaving now, we're rounding up now. Ngozi, I saw somebody say something. This is amazing. Somebody actually came here and said, look, social media week, are you guys taking our contacts down? So that, would you guys be forming a spreadsheet to add our contacts?
Yes,
I'm like, wait.
yes, we
you
are.
guys usually beg people, can we take your contact? And then you're adding so much value that somebody's actually saying, look, take my contact.
We're going to create, so many people have been posting that. They're like, where can we put our information? So we're going to create a spreadsheet. We're going to do that.
I'm here for that. Okay. And so finally, somebody asked me how am I doing with my back pain? My brother, my sister, whoever it is, it has been tough. It has been tough with back pain because I'm sitting most of the time. I'm sitting on this chair. I'm doing this meeting. It's tough. But what it is once this started, I had a conversation with my doctor. She's all part of that. I first had a conversation. What do I do at this time? She made recommendations. So I have been doing my exercises more regularly. I have been standing up. I try to stand up every 30 minutes and just move around. And I just try to be as comfortable as possible. And I'm taking drugs. Yeah, I'm taking a drug that was recommended in low dosage to help me with this.
Yeah.
I think that as our behaviors are changing, we're going to have to be learning new hacks. I'm feeling it even now. So I'm sure you noticed me twitch a bit here. That was the back pain. But when I do this, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to do my exercise before my next session. But thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Chude.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm going to check up on you because you're my favorite person. I'm going to check on you. Thank you, Ngozi, for doing this.
Yes,
thank you to everyone.
Thank you today.
Yeah,
and we'll keep the conversations going. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.